For us, it's another opportunity to help mom. If she can get something out of seeing that daily push notification, or in the future, we want to have the option for her to receive that over text if that channel is easier for her. She gets it in email if she wants. If she gets value from that encouragement, then we've done our job as mindful mamas.
Hello and welcome to The Big Leap presented by CleverTap, where we shine a light on the pioneers, the marketers, the companies, the growth leaders achieving growth through retention. But we don't just only do that, because we also ask our guests to share the steps, the strategies, the stories, everything they did to go from good to great. And my guest today is Jillian Lee Stout. She is Chief Product Officer and co-founder at Mindful Mamas. It's a mental wellness mobile app for moms. We're going to be talking about that, but also her background as well and how she made the shift, because at the company, she's responsible for the overall vision, the delivery of product, including engineering, product management, design, data, you name it. But before that, well, Jillian worked as a freelance web developer, and before that, a career as a professional musician. So, Jillian, we'll start with that story, but I'll start by welcoming you. It's so good to have you here today on The Big Leap.
It's an honor, Peggy, as always, and I'm really excited to be here and have some fun conversation.
You know, self-taught software engineer, but also a master's in music and MBA, bringing together right and left hemispheres of the brain, if you think about that. How does that come into what you've built, what you're building as a company? Tell me about that journey.
Oh, absolutely. I have so many colleagues, even from my master's program in music, that are software engineers now. There's so many people I went to school with or I came up through in, the music world that I now see, especially, through the pandemic, have transitioned their careers into tech. And I've heard a lot of people say that they're very aligned. The brain that we would use for music, or music theory that musicians use to understand music, it's very similar to what an engineer does, how they build logic and layer things to all, work together. If you think about like the orchestra, right? So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and it's not a journey that's done either. I feel like there's always surprises still, things that come up, things I'm learning and challenged to do every single day.
You talk about orchestration. That is a great analogy, because that's what it is. You orchestrate your own personal talents. You orchestrate the talents of your team. And what's interesting at your company is it walks the talk, man. I mean, this is about moms. It's about an app to help moms, but it's also shaped by women who are moms.
Yes, we have a whole team of moms, single moms on our team as well. Besides product serving mom, a big part of our company culture is about helping mom balance her career and, serve other moms, but also we think about having a flexible schedule for mom. One of the things that we often see on Slack is if somebody has a sick kid, they let the team know what they're dealing with, and other moms come in and just pour in their support because they understand what that's like to have to, balance work and sick kiddo. So it's a really wonderful, wonderful place to work.
I believe you, actually. There's a part of me that says, yes, I wonder if they need content over there. But serious.
I always say too, if you want to see, what really get done, hire a mom, because you would not believe what, if a mom has a 2-hour time window for nap time, you'd be shocked what she gets done in that 2 hours for work. So if you want really efficient, workforce, you should be looking at moms for sure.
I totally believe that. And the moms I know, absolutely, what they can get done, in a day, others in a week. You also support moms. And this is the part about Mindful Mamas is not just another app that helps, but understands. There's a lot of empathy and humanity in your marketing. How do you show that you care? How do you show that you know your audience?
This is really everywhere in the business. It's at so many different touch points because it's at the forefront of everything that we do. It's our core. You could say it's our core driver. In a way, our North Star metric is serving mom. How well are we serving mom? And so whether it's, building out requirements for a feature or looking at marketing communications, it's always from the lens of how is this going to work best for mom? And moms, they have a lot of a different schedule where they might not have control of their schedule. For instance, things come up, they have to be flexible. We know that on average, moms only have 17 minutes to themselves a day. And so how is mom using that time, especially when children are young,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
Another thing we do is even in the content that we create, the programs and things that are in the application, we have something that we've coined a vulnerability first approach to our content. And what that means is that we want to create a safe environment and invite mom in. And one of the ways that we help her feel safe is by sharing first. And so we use examples and share our own stories, our own life circumstances. We do this even in our community emails where, I experienced a divorce and I'm at the very tail end of that. But in the last year and a half, it's been a big challenge. It wouldn't be uncommon for me to write an email to the community sharing with them what that challenge has been like for me. And in our content, that's what we do is this vulnerability first approach where we're going to share our stories. We're going to share our experience as women or as mothers. And what our moms tell us is that they feel seen, they feel heard, validated. And the biggest one is they feel less alone. We hear this a lot. Mom feels alone. I felt alone with this. I felt like I was the only one that experienced this or felt this way. But our moms actually talk about Mindful Mamas as being a part of our community, even though they're not actually connecting as a community in the application yet. So it really is, this is like woven in everything we do is connecting authentically.
And this is something that you don't just overtly express in the app through the programs, through the content. It's also a lot of the communication. Tell me a little bit more about the communication, because yours is very unique. And it's astounding how you communicate in the way you do, because it nearly flies in the face of everything we think about when we think about mobile marketing 101.
One of our most popular, I would say, campaigns. I mean, because technically it is a campaign, even though we now call it a feature because that's what our moms call it, is these daily push notifications and daily emails that don't have an ask. There's not a CTA. We're not selling anything. All we're doing is giving mom little snippets of encouragement and trying to remind her how to be mindful, reminding her that she's enough, reminding her she's doing a good job, reminding her to take a breath, reminding her she's not alone. I had originally built that campaign just as a placeholder while we were going through a transition on the team. And I told the new marketing director, you can turn this off once you've got something else set up. And so when she did eventually turn that campaign off, our customer support channel was flooded with moms asking where their daily comms were. Where's my daily encouragement? Where's my daily affirmation? And so we're sending email. Like it's an email. Are there any companies you get an email from every day? I mean, typically that annoys
No,
me.
and I would
I'm like, how do I
unsubscribe.
get rid of that? Yeah, exactly. And for them, we had moms unsubscribing from their paid subscription because they didn't think they were getting their daily affirmation anymore. So it's like, oh, you're not going to send me push notifications every day. I'm not going to pay for this anymore. Then you're right. It's like the opposite of we don't want to annoy the user or, contact them too much, connect too much. And what we see is it's exactly the opposite. But I think that's because it's based in in the value first, right? We were discussing that a little bit. Really touching on what they value and bringing them something that makes a difference for them, and not, not even asking them to do anything for it, just giving it. We're serving them.
It's reminding me of a campaign, but you have it as part of your DNA. That's what's so exciting about it. But there was a campaign in the middle of the pandemic. We had the marketer here on the show from Visible, Peril Servat, and she was telling us they just sent out, it was a mobile wireless carrier, so you don't expect this, but they were just like sending out an email. How are you doing? We're into it. We're a couple weeks in here. How are you actually really doing?
Like,
And that was,
really.
it went viral. People, they were taking screenshots of it, putting it up in social, like, look at this email I got from my carrier asking me how I am. How do you build this into your marketing? Because at the end of the day, you said for yourself, you're going for a round, or you're a company. You have to turn people who are looking at it for free to getting it to pay for, to commit to a subscription. Where do you build that in, and how do you build that in?
We have a kind of an interesting way of thinking about habit forming features or things that we can do. We talk a lot about retention with your podcast and the content that you create, retention and user engagement, right? Keeping our users engaging with the product. And the way we think about this is, if we want mom to build a habit, we are doing that because our goal is to support her mental health. We want the result of mom using our app every day, and actually the moms that are very active users in our application are using the app on average twice a day. They're opening the app twice a day, which is great, right? That's what you want. But the reason for us, the motivation is, it's because it helps her feel better, be better, feel like a better mom, feel less alone. In a way, you could say altruism, but really, by building tools to help mom engage regularly and stay retained in the application, it's with the goal that it really does make a difference in her life. I mean, that really is what we want. And it comes from our founder story, which I've shared with you before, where in some cases, Peggy, we get emails from women every day saying that we saved their life. And we don't take that lightly. And based on our founder story, we know that is a very real thing. And so we never want to lose sight of that as a company in what we're doing, building the product.
I say personally, that's what I absolutely admire about your product, and also your approach. Some of our listeners won't know that story. Maybe you just want to backtrack a little bit and share that, because that has such an impact on what you are, what you're building, what you're going to be because of those roots.
So my co-founder, who's the CEO of Mindful Mamas, her name is Tara LaRock. And Tara is a licensed school and family psychologist. And we're based in Denver, Colorado. That's where our home base is. And Tara was working in the Denver public school system. In the Denver public school system, as a school psychologist, the average family income is $12,000 a year. And so this is a very underserved and very challenging population in terms of the kind of support the kids and the teachers really need. And so Tara was working there, a very high risk and challenging population, to serve them in their mental health support in the school. And after her first daughter was born, she was suffered really, really severe postpartum depression and OCD as a licensed psychologist. And she didn't tell anyone. She didn't tell her mom or her sister. She didn't tell her partner, because she was afraid. She was afraid of the thoughts she was having. She didn't want to communicate those to other people because she was afraid of scaring them, afraid she'd lose her license. So she was afraid she'd lose her career, and ultimately afraid she was going to lose her baby, that they were going to take her child away. So she suffered in silence for 9 months before she told someone. This is somebody with all the resources. She's a mental health professional. And she nearly took her own life 9 months postpartum. And it really woke her up to this idea that what we're doing in our traditional healthcare structure isn't working. 1 in 5 moms will experience some kind of postpartum or perinatal mood disorder, whether that's postpartum depression or OCD or anxiety. So 1 in 5, but 75% of those women are not ever getting professional support. And we're only screening moms for postpartum depression at 6 weeks postpartum, where the majority of moms who do complete maternal suicide are doing so between 9 and 12 months postpartum, so almost a year after the baby's born. And so we're really missing a lot of moms. Tara started sharing about her story just through a blog. It was a hobby of hers, an outlet. And she became a thought leader in the space because she was sharing very authentically about her experience. And it made her realize there's got to be something more we're doing, more wraparound support for women, because motherhood presents very unique challenges in a woman's life that are unlike other life circumstances, you could say, especially in our society. We were born out of this need for an experience that Tara had, where she had insight into this problem in the most in the most real way that you can. And so that's where Mindful Mamas was born. And our goal, we really see ourselves as the wraparound for what we're doing in traditional mental health care to support moms. There are, over 300 hours on average between therapy appointments. And mom needs to be held in between those therapy appointments. And that's where we really see Mindful Mamas continuing to step in and support mom in even bigger and better ways as we mature the company.
And a big part of that is not just being there at the right place and perhaps in the right context, but addressing audiences in the right way. Now, they're not audience, they're moms, but ultimately different segments. You said it yourself. There are different types of moms, different types of needs, whether it's, the typical just sort of, first child, or maybe it's a child with special needs. Maybe it's a foster mom. They're all different types. How do you approach segmentation, marketing, journeys to make certain that you're treating each one as an individual?
We understand that every motherhood journey looks different, and a mom, with a newborn has different challenges and needs than a mom with a preteen or a mom who has a child with special needs, like you mentioned. But there's a lot of different ways that we do that in the application, and actually a lot of things we have planned on our roadmap, and there's a lot of things we do in the comms to support that. On the broader level, one of the things that we adopt for all of our content and in everything we do even in our design work is we use trauma-informed language. And we have every piece of content vetted we partner with a psychology center here in town that helps us vet and reviews all of our content to make sure that we are being sensitive to trauma triggers and language and things like that, and being based in psychology, research, evidence-based. So on the broad level in our communications and our content, that's the bar we're always holding. In terms of for mom's experience, we ask her in onboarding what stage of motherhood she's in. We're trying to understand, what age her children are, how many children she has. We want to understand what her wellness goals are. Is she struggling with sleep? Does she need support with anxiety? And we're also trying to get a sense for how experienced she is with mental wellness or mindfulness practices, so that we can help to serve her programs that she'll feel are accessible that aren't outside of her reach or too obscure, as maybe a beginner who's never experienced mental wellness practice or mindfulness practice. We want to give her something that feels doable for her. That helps us give them specific content based on the stage of motherhood that they're in, based on the goals that they have. And so their home screen will load those programs automatically once they onboard. So they're right there and accessible for them. Here's things for your motherhood journey. Here's things for your goals. We also have an SOS button right on the home screen. And that is like a quick, if toddler's having a meltdown, you're having an anxiety meltdown, there's a few practices you can go to right there just to take a breath, take 90 seconds to settle your nervous system. So we're trying to, also support moms that might need something immediately. And then in communications, in terms of the marketing campaigns, we want to be showing mom where those programs are. For instance, if she is struggling with anxiety, we want to make sure that in her onboarding communications, she has information about where she can find a course on anxiety, where she can get that support. And so it's really about understanding why she's hiring us, what are her needs, what are her challenges, and then we want to make it as easy as possible for her to find the support that she needs.
A big part of this, I said treating moms like individuals, but a big, big part of this and what you're doing is highly personalized marketing, messaging, but it doesn't sound like marketing. It really just sounds like just being genuinely there at the right time, right context, and being genuinely helpful. What is the framework that you're thinking about when you do this?
We're a startup, right? You've got limited resources, limited time, limited team. So you have to really focus and prioritize. One of the approaches that I take is in considering even our tools, which is part of the reason why we chose CleverTap, because I really see marketing, the communications that we use to talk to our moms, as a part of the product. And I know that not every company views it that way. A lot of companies see product marketing as support for new features, support for product development, to keep users informed, or to direct users or nudge users to try a new feature or resubscribe or engage. And for me, we're delivering marketing communication. So think about this as the channels outside of the application: email, push, text, these other channels where we touch our users. Just like our push notification and daily emails, that's a feature. Is it set up as a campaign, an omni-channel campaign in CleverTap? Yes, it is. Is it built into the code base of the actual, iOS app? No, it's built through this marketing campaign that's served with CleverTap, but it is very much a feature that our moms, to the point that our moms have told us it's a feature, even though another company might say that that's a campaign, right? A daily push campaign, a daily email campaign. To us, it's not marketing. It's a feature.
So your marketing is your voice, and that's become also part of my routine. So yeah, I can totally see how product and marketing are one and the same here. It's not a campaign. It's a conversation. It's outreach, a touch point, and even more perhaps than that.
It provides value. You could say it's that values-based marketing, but really, for us, it's another opportunity to help mom. If she can get something out of seeing that daily push notification, or in the future, we want to have the option for her to receive that over text if that channel is easier for her. She gets it in email if she wants. If she gets value from that encouragement, then we've done our job as mindful mamas. That's our whole mission. I mean, that's why we're doing what we're doing.
It's a sense of presence in a way, Jillian, isn't it? I mean, you are with me. It's highly personal, and it's on my person.
That's what they say. Like, Our moms give us the language. That's another thing when you talk about communications. We're regularly interviewing our moms. And so if you see an email or something come through and you're like, wow, that's really great copy, we can't take credit for it. Those are our mom's words, not ours. And they say things like, this is like having my best friend in my back pocket. That's one of our mom's quotes. Not my team didn't come up with that tagline. That's what they say. This is a virtual sanctuary. That's their words. This makes me feel less alone. I feel seen. I feel heard. That's their words, not ours. So your users will tell you how they want to be communicated with if you'll listen.
So you've seen it because you see the impact of treating people like individuals. What do you say to the marketers out there who are maybe not as far along as usually, and I have to say, and they're like, what is the business value of personalization? Why should I treat people differently? What do you say to a question like that?
Well, I'll tell you across the board, even delivering daily emails and all the communications that we have typically an over 50% open rate in our email subscriber base of over 100,000 emails. You tell me, like they're opening these communications, they're engaging with them. It's never easy.
Your proof that taking the time, making the effort to listen. It's encouraging and rewarding for you and for your founder and for your team, but it's also, at the end of the day, it's also going to be a successful and sustainable business. At least that's what I wish you personally. How do you yourself stay fresh or ready to innovate, push the envelope? What is it that you do as someone who's taken that big leap to continue on that path and to stay fresh, as I said, energized?
When I get into a tough place, when I struggle with burnout, because it's a lot to do what we're doing. We're a very small team, and still in the early stages with our capital, funding. I turn to our moms, and another thing that our customer success manager will do is she'll post messages she receives from time to time of a mom whose life was positively impacted by what we're doing, to help remind the team why we're doing what we do. And then interviewing our moms regularly really helps keep that fresh. And a lot of ideas come from them. They ask for things, or they'll mention something that they're experiencing or a challenge that they're facing. And it keeps me thinking about how we can help them. What more can we do? But I always, caution our team, because moms will come with a lot of ideas. It would help if you had this, or could you add this feature, or what if we could do this in the app? And I always challenge the team that the hard work is digging deeper on those challenges or those ideas that they have, to get to the root of what is the pain point or the challenge or the thing that's really driving them to want that solution. And how can we help solve that problem, or incrementally make that a little easier or a little bit better? And I think it's that process of always challenging ourselves to dig deeper that keeps me engaged, keeps me trying to problem solve, and how I keep those ideas fresh, along with the things that people talk about they normally do. They're reading, publications or trying new technology. I love, I'm always an early adopter of things. You better believe I've been all up in ChatGPT with all the ideas for moms in our company and things like that. But our moms are really a huge source of inspiration, and my team. My team is another way that I try to stay fresh and ahead of things, and motivated and excited about the work that we're doing.
You said those magic words, ChatGPT. I have to ask you how that's looking, because we're hearing so much about it. You've been looking at it. Your communication is so incredibly human. I would imagine ChatGPT gives you a fairly good first draft.
I've been using it a bit for validation of some of the things I've either seen or, for instance, I was asking ChatGPT. I was doing some research around SEO and keywords, and thinking about blog headlines. And we haven't talked a lot. We focus more on kind of retention and engagement, but there's this whole acquisition side in the mobile app marketing space that's another beast, right? But I was in ChatGPT, asking what are moms worried about? What are moms struggling with? What problems do moms want to solve? What are one of the specific questions I asked that I found really interesting is around mental health and motherhood. So, exploring and having this conversation around what are the mental health concerns that mothers have. What are the top things moms are looking for support with in their mental health? And so some of that has been validating to see what kind of conversation and what kind of content that is uncovered. And again, different ways that we can start the conversation with mom about those pain points, about the jobs to be done.
And that's certainly what you've done as well with your work, Jillian, is being there for your audience, for your moms. You don't even call them your users. And always encouraging and taking that to the next step. You have some great milestones, some great steps coming. Share some of those.
One of the big things we're really looking at is how can we help the healthcare industry or help with how we're approaching the support of moms and their mental health with all the information our moms are sharing with us. I released the first version of a mood check-in at the end of the year last year, and really understanding from mom not only how she's feeling, helping her build her emotional vocabulary, but asking her some really important questions about what life circumstances she feels are contributing the most to that mood or those feelings. And then also checking in with her about some of her basic needs, specifically sleep. How much sleep or rest did you get? And this is just the first version, and it's really a checkpoint to help mom have some awareness of where she's at that day. But what it's providing is all this relational data to start to understand the shifts and changes in mom's mood, and then, what programs or support she might be seeking, along with the life circumstances that are impacting those emotions or mood. And that is really, really rich information for mental health. And so we have this global vision of eradicating maternal mental health challenges. It's a big vision, right? But this idea that not only in our programs and resources that we're serving to mom, but also how mothers collectively could come to the table through our product and help the healthcare professionals and other people to provide and build better solutions, better programs, things that are actually going to make a difference for mom. So that's like a big one, right? Is how do these insights help mom ultimately?
I was going to say it's a huge one, but so important. And what is even more important is you get to a point where you become preventive, predictive. So not just helpful,
You got
but
it,
also
Peggy.
avoiding these outcomes in the first place.
Oh, that makes me so excited because you just validated for me that the way I'm communicating that, you get it. That's it. We believe that, is there a world where those 75% of women who are suffering with mental health challenges as mothers and are not getting support, could we help her realize earlier? Tara suffered for 9 months. What if Tara had a nudge or knew 3 months in that she was showing some patterns and should maybe reach out for some resources, right? And that, you got it. You hit it. That makes me, see, You asked what keeps me going. It's that. You
Jillian,
got
I
it.
love it.
Yeah.
I love speaking with you, and I want you to go global, by the way. I
Oh,
really
thank
do.
you.
I really do, because these are universal concerns. These are universal feelings. This is what unites us, I have to say, also as women. And I applaud what you're doing. And it's been a pleasure to have you on The Big Leap. And thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, Peggy. Always love chatting with you.
And this has been The Big Leap. For our audience, we also publish this video as a podcast, which is easy for you to consume on the go, on the train, on the plane, wherever you may be. And if you're listening to the audio version, you can also see the video. Just search for The Big Leap on YouTube. This show is all about shining a light on amazing marketers who took the big leap to achieve growth through retention. So if you have a story to tell, hook up with me on LinkedIn, and we may get you set up with a show of your own. Until then, this is Peggy Anne Salz for CleverTap and The Big Leap.